I mean, before we move on, cyclocross, we have moved on now, but you touched on Brandon McNulty. We were gonna discuss this last week, but what is happening with Brandon McNulty? He's not in the Giro team and he's not in the Tour de France team. So how do you see his 2024 going? He's a phenomenal rider, but just, yeah.
Yeah, he's someone, he was snapped up early by UAE. He's only spent his sort of World Tour days at UAE, has not been anywhere else. But he has seen success at his first Giro d'Italia, was first Grand Tour back in the COVID season. He was right up there inside the top 20 of GC, was up in top 10 in GC for a while as well in that race. Then had the chance to ride the Tour de France the year after in 2021, where he was sporting the winner of Tadej Pogacar. 2022 returned to the Tour de France, then supported Pogacar once again, really shone on the stage to Périgueux in particular, where he finished in third place, where he dragged Vingegaard and Pogacar all the way to the end for Pogacar to win that uphill sprint. Then last year, I think it was a different approach, not going to the Tour de France. Instead, he went to the Giro, took a stage win in Bergamo when he had that sprint against Marco Frigo and someone else, who I can't remember. Ben Healy, yes. Just Googled that one. To take his first ever Grand Tour stage win. I thought that showed that he was a little bit more versatile up there in the breakaways. He could be a bit more of a sort of savvy rider up there. He's sort of been joked about as being Brandon McNulty for his like sort of naive tactics and sort of strange way of racing that we've often seen in the past. Remember, he wasn't that far off getting a medal at the Olympic Games back in 2021 when he went in the winning move with Richard Carapaz. But looking towards this year, no Grand Tour start is worrying. He's going to the UAE Tour, we believe, and Paris-Nice. I think if he can really sort of stand out there, he could be one of the first reserves for either the Giro or the Tour de France. I think he should be on one of those start lists. He's a reliable domestique with good Grand Tour experience. He's been there for Pogacar in the two Grand Tour, the two Tours de France that he won in 2000. Well, sorry, in one Tour de France he won, and one Tour de France he podiumed, and he's also ridden the Giro twice beforehand. So I think definitely an experienced rider who can provide something in that mountain train more than sort of, like Ivo Oliveira can provide, although he's a great lead-up man for Molano. Who do you sort of value more in that team setup? I really think Brandon McNulty, if he really proves himself, he could probably jump in as the first reserve. We know how fragile these Grand Tour teams can be. All it takes is for one rider to miss the mark and he sneaks onto that start list. We've seen it before.
I wonder whether they've got a longer term plan with McNulty, where this year they're like UAE have got their, I don't know, but the Grand Tour seems pretty stacked already, like you say. But I wonder whether he's focusing on stage races this year and whether he's getting more leadership at these stage races to almost see how he handles being a leader, and whether they think that, like you say, at the Périgueux, like he was super good there, like do they think that maybe he could be a Grand Tour contender, and they're trying to almost assess how he is going to do that, but by doing stage races. It's a very backwards way of doing it, I agree, but I would send him to a Grand Tour, of course. But I think that in a team so brimmed with talent, it's hard to get your own chances in Grand Tours, and whether they are like quite happy to give him full leadership at the stage races, like a Paris-Nice. I don't know. I think that they might see something in him where he could be like a Grand Tour contender, and whether they've got a scheme going on.
Or is it time to rethink what he's doing at UAE? I mean, in your screen is hello.
But I
They would want him.
But there's also sort of the rider type that he is. He's so hot or cold. I think that does sort of take him away from being a Grand Tour leader. As we've seen, he has these great days where he's fantastic. Fourth place in the World Championship time trial last year in Scotland, let's not forget. And then some days he finishes 75th in on a mountain stage. Like, it's very, very unpredictable where McNulty is going to be. He's one of the hardest and most sort of enigmatic riders. If you're going to place a bet, never place it on Brandon McNulty, because you just never know where it's going to go. High risk. Maybe that's your thing. But I don't know where it's going to change elsewhere. What kind of team could he slot into? I think maybe Visible Lisa Bike, dare I say, he could fit in there and perform another teammate role. But I just don't think he has credentials to stand out as another team's Grand Tour #1 card.
I mean, as a super domestique for forever. Not as a Grand Tour leader, but
Okay, but as a super domestique, he's got growth within UAE to become that best super domestique role.
But like, how do you go from like 2022, where he's like dropping everyone, guiding Tadej Pogačar up, and now he doesn't even make the Giro team, which is crazy in my opinion, and I think you two also think that.
Yeah, it is crazy.
And he won a stage last year.
Yeah, exactly. Like, how is this man not making it on a Grand Tour team? It's incredible. Who could we kick off that team?
Ivo Oliveira. Sorry.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. I think, yeah, this is kind of the problem with cycling as well. Like we were saying, they're careering all this talent, but you only have 3 Grand Tours. And then suddenly it's like, we have this fantastic rider, but nobody else can have him. And we're just going to put him on the bench, essentially.
Go back to my point. I just think that maybe they're just trying to see like if he can do it over like Paris-Nice, if he can do it over 8 days and be consistent over 8 days, and we're like, okay, then we take a step further and we see if he can then go to like maybe what if he does well at Paris-Nice and then we take him to the Vuelta and they're like, you're going to be like a co-leader alongside Poggy.
Do I say Richie Porte here? One of the best 1 week stage races ever, but never really got a great result while he was a Team Sky in the Grand Tours.
But McNulty hasn't even really got a good result at like a stage race. Like he does well in just like random stages, but like you look back at his results last year, they're not really there. Even at like Comunitat Valenciana, he was like 8th or something. So Tour of Luxembourg, he finished 3rd. It's like he should be like cleaning him out pretty easily. I think he's got so much potential. Like he's got the TT ability. He's obviously got a really good climbing ability.
Bora.
Oh, not another one to that team.
Why not?
To support this false pipe dream that Primoz Roglic is going to win the Tour. That rattles people so much when I say that. People, Roglic fans, absolutely, they just take the bait so easy. They do. They're easy just to like rattle a little bit and they just go.
It's like a hive of bees. Ironic, given that he left Visma Leasebike. But
rage quit.
But no, I don't really know where his career is going to progress to. Like he's had the chance now. He's like over 25. He's had the chance now, I think, to really get that big breakout performance. He's had a couple of really good performances, but nothing like where it justifies placing a 1 week long stage race leadership position for him at UAE. Especially since they have so many other cards like Almeida, like Ayuso, like Poggi, Adam Yates, all these guys who I think are far more reliable. I think he just has to accept that he will be a super domestique forevermore.
Yes, but like a super domestique with a Grand Tour start, that should be the least.
Yeah. Why is he not going to the Giro to support Poggi? Like it's not like their mountain support there is not exactly, insane. Like McNulty's a perfect of all trades to put in there.
But Jay Vine is good though. Doma Novak, I would get rid of him.
Oh, no. No.
Novak for Brandon McNulty. I would do that.
Also, sorry to Ivo Oliveira. He must get us a lot. It's actually Rui Oliveira that's going to the Giro.
Oh dear.
You just gotta hack him up.
Oh, Ewan. This whole slander of Oliveira is just poor man.
You want Brandon McNulty in top form, and then it will just be him and Tadej Pogačar riding off into the sunset on some stage.
No, Doma Novak. And Pogačar. Anyways, Ineos released their long list for the Giro.
Did they? Oh yes.
Can't
wait for them to not win.
This came with the news that Gary Thomas is going to both the Tour de France and the Giro d'Italia.